Guys, Becky here from Frenzied Printing. Let's talk about bed slinger printer maintenance. Grab yourself a shop beverage because we're going to be doing something that is not fun. Here's some of the tools that you'll need. You'll probably need some other things too, like standard set of Allen wrenches. And first thing we're going to do is wipe down the frame. This is the outside and inside of the frame where the palm wheels roll against. They usually just grind some dust and or some rubber. You're also going to want to clean off your rail, the gantry rail, top and bottom. This is a Cobra 3 Max from Anycubic. Of course, you can do the same sort of maintenance measures on any bed slinger, really. If you see some like caked on dust, like this black stuff, and it's not coming off just with a wipe, go ahead and use something a little bit sharp or a little bit edgy and scrape it off. Then you're going to do your Z-rods. So clean all of that black, greasy, nasty, dust-caked gunk from your Z-rod. And if your machine has two, do them both. All the way to the top and the bottom. Around the base there, where the stepper motor is, sometimes filament can get stuck in there, or I usually call it like cotton candy, like 3D printer cotton candy, but it's just fibers that get stuck in there, dust and fibers. Check your belt. That's your Z belt. Just make sure it's not so loose that it can't move the gantry up and down. Then check the Y belt. I didn't show it, but you can also check the X axis belt. It's on the back side of the gantry. Looks like we have some dust and buildup around the stepper motor on the Y-axis. You'll want to inspect this and make sure there's no filament wrapped around. And if there is, just pick it out. Wipe everything down. You could probably use a vacuum cleaner or maybe canned air, like compressed air, and just get all that dust and stuff out of there. Yeah, you can see these palm wheels have a lot of dust caked up on them. That's what rubs off on the frame, making those black streaks on the frame. This can cause poor print quality, if you think about it. If these things aren't moving smoothly, then you'll have some poor print quality. You'll be able to see your layer lines. It'll be sloppy. It's not good. Same thing for that stepper motor in the back. If there was any filament wrapped around it, you'll have a lot of Y-axis skipping. Yep, there's another stepper motor on the front of this machine, so definitely going to shine a light in there and make sure that there isn't anything stuck around that one. Again, you're just looking for like dust, fibers, filament, anything that could really not allow it to move or glide smoothly. Oh, then we're going to inspect our Y-axis rails, the bed rails. So you might as well wipe down both sides on each side, left and right, and get all the gunk off. Again, if you need to, use a little edging tool to scrape off any like caked on stuff. If your rails have stuff caked on them, then you're going to have some Y-axis print quality issues. Make sure you move the bed all the way to the front and get your rails on the back side as well. Don't miss any spots. It's going to be really hard to get underneath the center of where the rails are, where that build plate is covering it up. Then go ahead and check your carriage, make sure that it glides, and clean it. This is the back side view. I always flip the machine around when I'm doing maintenance so I can see easily. This wheel always has fibers stuck to it, like greasy fibers, so I always pick it off. Inspect the wheels and make sure that the rubber is intact. If there's any black caked on stuff on the metal parts, make sure you scrape it off or wipe it off with a cloth. Check your frame screws, make sure that everything is secure so there's no wobble, top and bottom. This machine is so large, it has 2 supporting rails, so I check them both. Use some white grease, not oil, use grease. So like white lithium grease. And you only need like the size of a grain of rice dabbed on just a couple of spots on each rail. And then when you move the build plate forward and backward, it will roll over that grease and spread it evenly. So you don't need to, rub it around with your finger or anything. Just put a little bit on there, move the bed, it'll be fine. All right, we're going to take the build plate off and check the bed screws. Make sure that they're all tight. If your bed screws aren't tight, you might hear clicking while your print is printing. You might even witness it, the nozzle like hitting the infill or knocking over a prime tower or something. Usually that's because something is loose, so make sure you tighten everything up. I always make sure my build plate is on squarely, because if it's off center, it will rub on the sides of the frame, and that also causes print quality issues. It's time to take a look at our hot end, pick out all the fibers and the dust that are stuck up in there. Check your fans. There's always going to be dust and fibers in the fans. It's actually pretty dust-free in my house, so this machine doesn't actually look too bad, but it can get really, really gunky. I've gotten in the habit of doing this every month or two, just because I found that if I don't continue to maintain the equipment, all of a sudden everything starts looking like trash when it comes off the build plate, and I'm wondering why. Oh, take a look at that front side of that gantry wheel. It is caked with fibers. This is the worst one. Always happens, I don't know why, but start picking those fibers off, and it gets a little tricky because they wrap around the nut. So just pick and then move the print head a little bit so the wheel turns, and then pick it again, move it, pick it again. It takes time and patience. This is why I said to get a shop beverage, because this work is not glamorous, it's not fun, it's necessary for sure if you like to have good print quality. When you're done doing this, you'll want to warm up the nozzle, slide that silicone sock off, and then let it cool, and then turn that gray silicone sock inside out and pick all the plastic off, and then put it back on. And just adding grease to the rails is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it, because that stuff ends up attracting dust, trapping dust, and over time that hardens. And then as the wheels turn on the rail, it will click and skip over that kicked on dust. And that's what your nozzle will do too while it's printing. Again, tiny little beads of grease. And then you're just going to move the print head back and forth to smear it around. I love this flashlight, especially when you're working on the machine. The bright overhead light in the shop, sometimes it can blind you when you're trying to look upwards. So I like to have a nice little flashlight to shine upward while I'm working. Make sure you go through and grease your Z-rods. Since we wiped all of the grease and dirt away, we now have to add fresh grease back to it so that everything runs smooth. The next thing you want to do is move your gantry all the way up and then all the way back down so that the grease is evenly distributed among the rods. This part does take a while, so I'm going to skip over it a little bit here. Maybe even run and grab another shop beverage. When you're treating your machines, you should probably treat yourself. It's only fair. So we made the gantry go all the way up and all the way back down. We greased our bottom rails, we greased our gantry, we greased our Z-rods. Everything should be running smooth again. But we do have to take another peek somewhere else. I'm going to unlock the stepper motors, then it's safe for me to move things around again. If you try to forcefully move things without unlocking the stepper motors, you could break something. This is a retractor badge, if anyone was wondering. This is what I use to keep my bunches or bundles of PTFE tubing suspended up a little higher, especially if you're going to multicolor print. This particular Cobra 3 Max is always single color for me, but I have one on there just in case I want to convert it. The next thing I'm going to check is my PTFE tube. The PTFE tube at the very end can get chewed up over time. It just happens. It's from pushing and pulling and fighting that collet. So if you have enough length of PTFE tube to go ahead and snip the end of your tube off and just throw away the frayed chunk, you can do that, or just replace it. Next, I'm going to check my cutting blade. So I'm going to push up on this little tab and pull it out. And then check the blade and make sure that there's no nicks in it and that it's still nice and sharp. So as long as there isn't a little dent or a nick in the blade, you're probably good. Then you want to take a look all the way inside that space. Sometimes filament dust can gather in here. I've found with specific filaments like silks, if you do a lot of multicolor printing, every time it cuts, there's a little bit of dust that gets left behind, and then that dust can cake up. It's all clear, so I'm going to go ahead and put this back in and make sure that it clicks. If it doesn't seat correctly, this could give you a problem and a layer shift during color change, or it might not cut your filament at all. Now we're going to take a look underneath. So flip your machine back, put something underneath the build plate so that it doesn't rest all of its weight against the power cord. And then take a look at your wheels. Make sure the rubber is intact. If the rubber is worn at all inside these wheels, it will cause wobble. And wobble is bad. We like everything to glide smoothly and not wobbly. Pull out any filament or dust or fibers that are stuck to your wheels. Just make sure that they're nice and clear. Check your cables and make sure they're secure. This machine, being that it's so large and it moves very high, at high speed, it can loosen things up. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, and we're going to take a look at the air intake and exhaust and make sure that there's no dust caked up on there, no cobwebs. You can, if it doesn't look too bad, just grab a vacuum cleaner and clean that up. If it's really caked on there, try to clean it with a vacuum cleaner, but then also take all of the perimeter screws off, pull the panel off, and dust the inside too, because the dust, if it's caked up on the outside, it's definitely caked up on the inside. Mine doesn't look too bad. Again, I maintenance these machines frequently, so no need to take it off this time. And that's my maintenance routine. Subscribe for more.